lot of sand out there, man.
Autopilot landing 100% successful.
Hello and welcome to this tutorial on Stationeers about how to make a basic setup with rockets. So basically through this video I hope you will find it useful. We will cover how to do a basic setup, the cost of these basic setups, especially when you play in survival mode, how to launch it and how to get it back, which is the most important part, as you don't want to crash like a full tank of volatile or oxygen on your launch pad. So we need to also know the basic knowledge of fuel mix, which I assume you will know how to make it yourself on this part. Now the classification of rockets. So I classify personally, it is my own empirical way, it's not an official one. The scout rocket, the mining rocket, the gas rocket and the cargo rocket. So what I will focus more today is more a scout rockets, just because it's the easiest one to make, and depending on gravity and the space you have, it's the one of the most starter one you must make anyway. I also advise having several rockets rather than just having one that does everything, because with the gravity, depending on if you are on my mass on Europa, it can go, but if you are on Mars or Venus or even more if you're on Vulcan, the gravity can be extremely problematic. So this is my personal setup. Let's get a closer look. So this is the scout pad. As you can see, I have a pipe analyzer that allows me to know what is in the tampon between the main tank and the fuel part where it gets ignited. I highly advise to do the same setup on this way, because like mine is work basically on a script where it automatically opens the scout volume pump when there is not enough volatile and gas mix in the lower part. And here is like the main tank where I store like a lot. I forgot the pure data I have from top of head right now as I'm recording, but it's decent and allowed me to make a lot of expeditions so far safely and goodly. Now we move to the electricity setup. Basically the electricity setup is very simple. I tend to have it at the center. The yellow wires are like when the power arrives before getting stored by the transformator, and basically I just connect everything so I can have like a full logic. On the scout rocket I usually have as well all of these payloads, like the surface scanner, so 3 scanners, so it's faster, and the surface scanner which can be used on a map that you will see later in this video. Here is how she looks like when she's finally assembled. Now we're going to the very complicated part, which is, and I'm afraid we will have to use...
I'm afraid we need to use math.
That's right, math. So it's not that expensive from my experiment, but I put only the components so you can count a bit more steel eventually for that, but overall it's pretty cheap for a basic setup like I have it. Yeah, roughly the cost total that you can see displayed now. I'm not gonna initiate that, it will be too boring for you to listen to my numbers. Right, now we're going to the part, like I assume you have built your rocket at this point, and we will go to how to launch it. So it's fairly simple in theory. You just have to make sure like it's full, and then select your location on map. Usually it's empty. Make sure you have like an emergency battery off. It's what I do on my side. Favorite what you will usually have manually used. And like you can see my script, the pipe security with the pipe analyzer that allows me to inject stuff, the auto landing as well, and the pump gas engine, which is basically my thruster. So I need to put the throttle to 100 because my auto lander script just changed the values and I want to launch it. So now I just go like plop. But I forgot to set a destination, so if you have this, it's just that you forgot your destination. So to just counter that, you just open the UI again and go on map. Here I selected MIMAS orbit, set destination, and some extra checks. Make sure the auto landing is off or there, like the throttle is at 100. I personally also always run on the auto shut off for a simple reason that I rather trigger my stuff manually and so on to not have surprises. And if you don't do it now, right, now we can track our progression. So you can see like the ETA is like in 40 seconds. I still have like the speed going on and so on, so it's just gonna be a calm stuff. I would advise running an Excel sheet on the site with always the value before taking off of your volatile and oxidizer, so you can measure the travel when you take off and take down, so you can and go back, so you can basically have a tracker and know exactly which value before it's critical and before you crash your rocket. So we can see like in around 10 seconds she should be arriving at my mass orbit with not much consumption, because my mass is extremely low gravity, like it's 10% of Earth from what I remember seeing in the description. Maybe I'm wrong, I need to update that. Right, so now she stopped and everything has been powered off, which is how I rather go. So I always have a transformer, so I can just set up all of my value, and then I enable everything manually again, aside my script which are working. The auto landing is not working here because it's not landing and so on. And then you can see my pump is like filling up automatically thanks to my security script. So I have like a security pressure, like it has a threshold or an hysteresis, as it can be said in English, between at like if it reaches like 30,000, it's gonna stop entirely to the pump to be like, hey, I have enough, you can just continue as proceeded. The way I do that is because in before I used to do it manually, inject manually, and I always like pipe burst after like 4 or 5 landings and or takeoff, and you don't want that. You don't want a pipe to burst here because it's critical. See, it just stopped. And having a pipe burst and leaking gas is one of the worst things that can happen to you. So now the scoot pump is off. I always only on setting 2, I recommend doing it so it's not too fast for the transfer, and in case of lagging I rather go at low value anyway. So basically what I would like to show you right now is the map scanner. I have a map scanner installed on this rocket, and then you can see just cover the whole map itself, so I can see like the map and the deep mineable. So the black square are just where it hasn't seen it yet. It's pretty nice for roleplay purpose or just exploration or just data if you don't want to look on the internet. You just need to link it to a surface scanner instead on your rocket, so be on the same antenna and the same circuit. It's very efficient to know like the deep miner composition, and I'm more in favor of this version than in before, when a deep miner would just allow you to get like random ores and you could just set up a field of it and never have to be bothered by the end game again. Right, so now I'm going to the most important part of this tutorial, how to get back safely. You will have my script in the comments or on Reddit, I don't know where exactly yet, because getting back is always the big problem, especially on low gravity. If you use the auto landers provided by the vanilla settings, it often fuck ups. On Europa I had the case, on Mimas I had the case. It worked well on Mars. I haven't tried on high gravity, but at least with mine I'm sure I never had any crash anyway, unless you run out of fuel. So let's get to it. Alright, so let's get back to your UI. So we just open it. There is a few things I always use as well for my script to work. I always trigger the vanilla auto landing, but it's just to have an indication of the gravity and if my rocket can make it in its current state depending on its mass or even its payload. Hopefully here it says scout rocket, so I don't have much to worry about it. So now enable it, check here, very high chance to land, so I'm not really worried. I know I can initiate my sequences. Always check on every planet before using the script in case. I always use low, medium or high. Here I can use low because Mima's gravity is very low. Now you need to enable the auto landing, but just make sure to disable the vanilla auto landing if you use my script or my way to do it. So now I'm just gonna go on the map, check again for my landing ways. As you can see, I can land at any height. The cargo rocket, however, would have like more difference of weight, as you can see here, because like it's heavier, and I would completely fail if I was going at 25 kilometers. So never initiate an auto landing before checking these. Once you have one value anyway, it should be good to go. Now going back to the Scout rocket. So basically here I'm just gonna go at 25 since I already validated it to take long to land. So I'm gonna select the correct pad, my Scout pad. As you can see, this is my ice miner. Set destination, rocket, and then all I have to do is just initiate the gas, and whoops, all the value will gonna go down now. So basically what my script does is calculating the apex to be like at between 1 and 5 meters and initiate the throttle at runtime. It's always recalculating every second. I've actually economized a lot of fuel with this script, and very much like a lot of ways to not crash actually, which is pretty cool, because like sometimes it's gonna blink like impact velocity because it's always recalculating constantly, so it's trying to find like when it's gonna impact and when it's gonna still stay in the air. Basically you don't want your rocket to come back if basically you don't have like if you have the apex at, for instance, 300 meters above the floor and then you go up again. That's not what you want, and that's sadly what happens with the vanilla script. So it's completely normal to have like values blinking like that. The rocket is just gonna constantly check where to go, and the apex will always be like at 200 meters for the beginning. Basically the rocket is trying to use its burst when it's about to land. Be assured it's not too risky on that. It has like safeguards to initiate the proper burst when it's necessary. Right, we only have a few seconds left, well 20 seconds. You should already see and hear your rocket. I just go off of the console because I'm just confident in my script after taking off and landing so many rockets. So you can see she just arrives and whoop, just like if you were about to give a gentle kiss to your grandmother. And just shut off automatically. This is why I use always the power off. Now here, why did I came here, you will see, is because I want to show you as well my repumping script. It's maybe not optimal, there is always better ways even for my script. And as you can see, like my pump will always like try to fill it up automatically. The light will go orange if it's not enough and go green when it's enough. For now it's like the gas consumption wasn't that high, so it's gonna be green very fast. And she's ready to go for another takeoff. So some personal tips I had with rockets, like the vanilla auto landing will work on Mars, so solo I tried. On low gravity you will have issue, the rocket will go back into space and you will have to try to land it manually, and I wish you good luck in that. I had several heart attacks doing it myself. You will have issue in multiplayer, the desync, because yes, I noticed like it was extremely desynced in multiplayer while playing with my friends. Mimas and Europa, just like I said earlier, will be manual landings if you use the vanilla script, and I tried in solo and multiplayer and I had the same result. The best course is use a script to happen, and I will put the one in a comment I found which initiated me to a lot of rocketry and helped me go further, and thank you to this Redditor for it. Another tip is the landing pad. Make it always distance of 2 blocks, else you will have broken umbilical when the launch tower, when rockets lands or take off. Yes, because of which planet you are, you will generate a lot of heat, and that can break your devices, which are relatively fragile, the umbilical at least. Now this is my personal appreciation. Mars is very good to learn how to manage your gravity with rockets and have like a regular rocket that can do the scouting and the cargo and even mining. Mimas and Europa, you can do insane rockets due to low gravities. I have like one which has like 3 or 4 heavy cargos on it, which is something that wouldn't fly at all on Mars. And now the others, I haven't been yet there for rockets. I've made several solo or multiplayer games there, but I never really went to the end of rockets. Venus and Vulcan have a high gravity, like half. I think like Venus is the harder rocket size, so you will have like your rocket size very diminished, and this is where like having multiple rockets would be far more better than one, or having a best fuel. Like, just as a reminder, for all this video I use the basic fuel. The basic fuel mix is for me extremely good to use, and that is one I've been always used so far. So I actually recommend not trying to go in like heavy complex rocketry or heavy complex ways to do fuel mix or heavy mixes. Try to learn really the basic. Do a basic rocket with a basic fuel and the basic propellant, so it will be easier for you to understand what you're doing and easier for any rocket you do after. You cannot put, as we say in French, la charrue avant les bœufs, which is like you cannot put the cart to the beef if you haven't put the beef first. So it is really what I recommend to you if you really go into rocketry. Don't be in a rush, learn step by step. Stationeer can be extremely frustrating, but once you have learned to master something, it's just like in real life, it's so much a pleasure to be able to do it and have yourself and the friends you play with enjoy what you are able to do with rockets. So I may do in the future some in-depth tutorial for rocketry, thematic and so on, but I don't know what people like. For me, I went a bit to the beginning for a simple rocket. Right now I'm working on an automation cargo system and I'm just having some fun with my friends, but I wonder what people could find useful for their own base or own needs or even learning. So if you have, please let me know. I will let my scripts for the auto refilling and the auto landing in the comments or on the workshop. I don't know which one worked yet. The workshop has been very buggy for me, sadly, but you can find them somewhere anyway. So let me know in the comment and don't hesitate to suggest me some stuff if you have any suggestion to do. Wishing you a good day and enjoy your stationery journey. See you!